No, I still can't say it the right way. It's very different. It's a very difficult name to say. So, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. If you sing it, it helps a little bit. So.
Ninja Turtles. And we're right here by the hydrants, thinking it was perfect for the scene of those old
Yes.
stories on TV.
Yeah, you
I
know.
remember from being a little kid. Yeah.
That's right. Turtles live in the sewer, after all. So.
So tell us, what have you been doing these days? What's new?
Well, you know, it's been such an amazing journey. You know, you think that the Turtles are heading towards 34 years old at this point. The fact that, you know, I still can't believe after all this time I get to come to an event like this, hang out with just the most awesome fans in the world, and you know, I always go out of my way to thank them because I really have the coolest job on the planet because of these fans, and so I do appreciate them coming and standing in these lines and getting to meet. And I love, you know, get such energy from them, but. Yeah, so that's, you know, we do 12 to 15 shows a year depending, which we love, and then between that I'm doing a lot of regular work on the ongoing Turtle comic series. It's Robin over there. So, but no, I do, you know, my main work has always been based in the drawing part of the Turtles. So with IDW, who's the publisher of the new Turtles comic book series, I've been working with them for 6 years. We just finished issue 75. I do some consulting on the animated show. I do a voice of a character on the Turtles cartoon show called Ice Cream Kitty, which is a great role. I've done some consulting on the movies, and then have some other personal projects I'm working on.
Great. Now I know at one point you were the owner of Heavy Metal magazine.
Still am, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. And still doing editing. Do you ever do any of the illustrating in that, or?
Well, you know, it was tough because Heavy Metal was something that was a big inspiration to me when I was younger. Around the time, you know, when it came out in 1977, I bought the first issue, and it was. I love comic books so much, but I was kind of growing out of them because they were really kind of written down to a much younger audience. And then along comes Heavy Metal, and it kind of made me realize that, you know, whatever you want to imagine, write and draw for any age, you can just still, you know, follow your dreams and follow your passion and draw comic books. So luckily enough, thanks to the success of the Turtles, I spent some of that Turtle money to buy Heavy Metal magazine in 1990, and have been the publisher of it ever since. I was the main editor for the magazine for, you know, 15, 16 years, working with a great staff that helps me put these great things together. And I've done a cover or two, but I'm such a fan of the artists that I think draw much better than I do. So I'm just happy to, and it's so fulfilling just to publish the work. So.
Sure. So part of that came out of your growth from developing content for a much younger audience to the need to express growing up, maturity.
Yeah, it was just, you know, it's just the joy of sharing, especially because in the U.S. market, a lot of the material that we publish in Heavy Metal magazine is material that's created by European artists. There's some American artists. And these days it's different. It's the lines have blended a bit. But at that time, in the early 70s, mid-70s rather, comics here were regulated by the Comics Code Authority, which was heavily, you know, it's like the Motion Picture Corporation of America, you know, how they regulate movies. It was felt that comic books were just for kids, so they had to follow all these rules to keep it for a much younger audience, say, you know, no older than 10 or 11. But the European comics community embraced the fact that comics are for all, you know, to be enjoyed by all ages. So there was much more intelligent material, you know, intense, you know, older audience themed science fiction, barbarian, any genre could be explored and intended for an older audience. So that was the great part of Heavy Metal, is like, you know, comics just aren't for kids. If you love comic books, you don't have to grow out of them and throw them away. You can still, you know, have them be part of your life for your whole life.
Yeah, engaging content as you become more mature.
Yes.
Now before that, you created something for the Creators' Bill of Rights to maintain the integrity and ownership of their own works.
Yes. It's true. It's like we were, when we started on the business, I was, you know, read mainstream comic books. I read underground comic books, which were a lot of self-published material. And one artist creator in particular, a guy named Dave Sim, really followed in the footsteps of some of the underground comics, and you know, that whatever they created and whatever they published, they owned all the rights to. And I really embraced that, and we're very fortunate that we did that, especially with the Turtles, because the success of the Turtles, we were able to guide, say yes to the right things and no to the right things, the things that we felt. And our heroes, guys like Jack Kirby and so many other people that worked for bigger publishers back in the day, because you worked for that corporation, you lost all rights to your characters, and so you couldn't profit from the success of your creations. And so with the Turtles, we felt blessed that, we were aware of what happened to Jack Kirby and many others. He wasn't the only one, but he's my hero. With the Turtles, we could really choose this destiny and profit from it. And so we felt, especially we teamed up with Dave Sim, like I said, he was an inspiration, and a number of other creator, owner, self-publishers, and we wanted to make sure that younger people coming into the business were aware of their rights. It's like, even if you choose to give those rights away, first and foremost, be aware that you have those rights, that people can't bamboozle you or just say, oh, hey kid, sign this deal, and and so. And
kids, that's the case in any artistic industry. Be aware of your rights.
Yes, no, it is. It's so important, and so that was, we felt, teaming up and creating these Bill of Rights, and it was important for the community. So.
What has been the most astounding marketeer on your Turtles that you've ever walked into and seen on the wall unexpectedly?
Well, especially in the early days with the Turtles, that we, everything, anything that the world saw in the Turtles, we saw it first. Because we had full right, we had full control, and so we saw all this stuff. But it was amazing, whether it be, I never thought I'd see a turtle action figure would be part of a Happy Meal, for example, or turtle belts, or I always loved the Halloween costumes, or my favorite was probably always the toys, because I was when I was a kid, I collected G.I. Joes and Matchboxes and things like that, and to have actual action figures of your characters, and I still have all my originals, so it's a real treat but I like those probably the most. So.
Oh yeah, the action figures are very
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
What would you say to aspiring new artists out there that love storyboarding and want to create a comic, or even about the marketing aspect to develop beyond the book, the comics themselves?
Well, what's so wonderful about today and the opportunities, whether you have social media, the internet, your reach is so far great, is so much greater. It's global. When we did the Turtles, it was pre-fax machines. It was pre, cell phones. There was no internet, and the distribution was, you sold to a series of comic book stores. There's about 4,500 comic stores all across the U.S., and that was our market. We marketed them there. Unless, you walked into a comic store, you never would have known that the Turtles existed. So, for kids that, young adults that are creating ideas and getting it out in their world, you can, study trademark and copyright to protect your characters. But when you promote them and you put them on your social media or your art groups, or sites like DeviantArt, comicart.org, there's a lot of protective, and you end up with this wonderful global audience that will talk about, you can talk about your ideas with them, you can get inspiration from them, you can share ideas with them. I've seen comic books that have been created because someone in Kansas met somebody in Sweden and they collaborated on an idea, and and that's wonderful. So it's global, and so it'd be, yeah, and it's before you go through the process of publishing a book, which can be difficult to market, because you still have to go through a distribution system, and there's a lot of expense involved. You can actually, through social media and through that, you can build up your audience first, and so that there's a built-in fan base. So it's a little bit less of a risk, but it sort of gives you a foothold.
Yeah, and go through crowdfunding. Once you have a large audience, more people are willing to come in and back you.
Yes, that's exactly right. Crowdfunding is, I think that's one of the most exciting new opportunities out there in recent history, is just that it gives an opportunity that, because it can be very expensive to publish and stuff, and you crowdfund your own book and then, share it with the world. So, yeah. Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Oh, pleasure.
Is there anything else that you would like to share, comment?
No, I was, to me it's, I feel like, I've been very blessed in my career. I've been very blessed with my fan base and what I've been able to do in my life. And I try to tell fans that, when I started out, wanting to draw comic books, my parents were sort of like, that's not a real job. You can't make a living doing comic books. You know, but it was a dream that I had, and they were sort of reluctantly supportive. And when you're following a dream, there's a lot of things you have to overcome, you know, because you think you've got school and you've got chores and you've got friends, and you setting aside that time for yourself to be creative and hold on to that dream is so important. So make that time. If you're interested in writing, write every day, even if it's for an hour. If you draw, if you can, you know, a little bit every day. Just, you know, it's like anything you want to be good at: music, sports, drawing, comic books. Don't let it go, and follow it and work hard, and you'll get there. Yes, very well said. So, absolute pleasure talking to you. Thanks guys. Bye. Thanks.